Hello everyone. Today, I would like to discuss the concept of the kidult phenomenon, often referred to as children's room uncle. This term originally emerged as a derogatory label on a certain anonymous online forum, with its first appearance reportedly dating back to 2014. When a commentary suggesting that kidult men were the root cause of Japan's declining birth rate was published, it sparked significant controversy, even trending on Twitter. It's important to note that the increase in the unmarried population is not exclusive to men, nor are unmarried middle-aged individuals living with their parents only men. Despite this, there is a widespread tendency in Japanese society to mock or look down on middle-aged men by claiming that criticizing middle-aged men will get attention or that it's pathetic for an adult to be so irresponsible. Due to the pervasive social anxiety, there is a growing trend to frame such social issues as matters of individual responsibility rather than societal responsibility, with oversimplified arguments gaining more popularity. However, it is also true that there is an increasing number of middle-aged individuals who struggle to break away from their parents. In this video, I will explore the complex interplay of economic backgrounds, social structures, and personal values that contribute to this phenomenon in Japanese society. I hope you'll stay with us until the end if you're interested. The term kidult or children's room uncle is a relatively new slang in Japan, used to describe adult men who still live at home with their parents and have not become independent. While it is most often used for men in their 30s or 40s, it is not strictly limited to any specific age group. Originally, the word uncle referred to a middle-aged man, but children's room uncle specifically refers to men who, despite being adults, continue living in the same room they used as children without becoming independent. This expression carries a slightly sarcastic tone and is often used to point out someone's lack of social and financial independence. In Japan, it is not uncommon for people to continue living with their parents even after graduating from university or starting their professional careers. However, the increasing number of men in their 30s and 40s who remain unmarried, continue living with their parents, and have not yet moved out has become a social issue of concern. This phenomenon is influenced by various factors, including economic reasons, the choice to remain single, and the responsibility of caring for aging parents. In general, the image of such individuals in Japan is often associated with feelings of discomfort or disapproval. There is a widespread stereotype that these men lack basic life skills and are perceived as incomplete adults who are not self-sufficient. From a woman's perspective, men who live with their parents are often viewed negatively, with assumptions that they might be overly dependent on their mothers, leading to the belief that they would not make suitable partners for a happy marriage. As a result, on dating apps and at marriage agencies, men labeled as kidult or children's room uncle are often filtered out from search results. Naturally, these men are in a situation where cohabitation or bringing a date back to their home is not possible, which negatively affects their attractiveness to women. However, regardless of where someone lives, if a person is attractive, they will still attract others, and the opposite is also true. Nonetheless, there is a prevailing notion that it is irresponsible for a man to behave like this. In Japan, there has long been the assumption that a man is only complete when he is married. In the past, many companies required marriage as a prerequisite for promotion. Men's wages increased on the premise that they needed to support a wife and children after marriage. Conversely, women's wages decreased because it was assumed that they would be supported by their husbands after marriage. In contemporary Japan, where remnants of this era still linger, there is an expectation that a man should work for his family after marriage, and men who continue to depend on their families as adults are often criticized as being irresponsible or immature. The tendency to criticize men may be rooted in these lingering societal values and the strong expectations still placed on men today. The term kidult or children's room uncle generally carries a negative connotation, often giving the impression that the person has not achieved economic independence or social success. This term can suggest a failure to meet societal expectations or a lack of independence. There are many children's room uncles who are so dependent on their parents, particularly their mothers, that they would struggle to function independently once their parents are gone because they leave all household chores to their parents. Many of these individuals are unable to live on their own, both mentally and financially. Some even receive pocket money from their parents rather than contributing to household expenses. They rely heavily on their parents for guidance and decision-making, and their mental instability leads to a high level of dependence on their parents. Conversely, there are also cases where parents excessively interfere with or overprotect their children. When parents are overly protective and do not allow their children to make independent decisions, the children may miss the opportunity to become independent. This can hinder their ability to make decisions or solve problems on their own. As a result, some people continue to depend on their parents well into middle age, giving them an impression of immaturity, as their lives have changed very little since childhood. Additionally, in some families, the social expectations around education and career success are so high that fear of failure leads to a strong reluctance to take risks and become independent. Such parental expectations and dependency can be obstacles to a child's independence. Over time, living in prolonged dependence on their parents can lower their self-esteem. Lacking confidence in themselves, they struggle to find the courage to become independent. This can result in fewer opportunities to develop social relationships, leading to a lack of communication skills. In Japanese society, there is a strong aversion to failure, and the fear of making mistakes can be a significant barrier to independence for middle-aged individuals. The issue is not merely a matter of individual choice, it also reflects serious problems related to economic conditions and changes in social structure. As I've explained various factors, these underlying issues lead more people to choose the safer option of remaining with their parents, where they feel both mentally and physically secure. In Japan today, the increase in non-regular employment and low-wage jobs has made it increasingly difficult for people to achieve financial independence. As a result, more people are choosing to live with their parents to save on rent and living expenses. Especially after the Lehman Brothers collapse, the number of full-time positions has decreased, leading to an increase in middle-aged people working as part-timers or temporary employees. In the face of employment difficulties and low wages, many have no choice but to live with their parents. The kidult phenomenon can be seen as reflecting structural issues within society. For young and middle-aged people who find it difficult to become financially independent, living with their parents is one option, but it also represents a symbol of social inequality. Particularly for men, some may feel frustrated and say, "I can't get married because I don't have enough money," despite working. Unfortunately, for men, financial stability is often a critical factor in finding a marriage partner, and in fact, lifetime unmarried rates are higher for those with lower incomes. Additionally, with urban housing prices and rental costs on the rise, it becomes challenging for those without financial means to move out and live independently. The aging society and changes in the labor market are impacting the lives of young and middle-aged people, and the increase in kidults reflects broader structural issues within society. Marriage and starting a family can serve as a key opportunity for independence, but for those who remain unmarried, living with parents tends to continue. The rising age of marriage and the increasing number of people choosing to stay single are also factors that contribute to the trend of living with parents. Prolonged cohabitation can lead to increased friction and stress between parents and children, with parental expectations and pressure becoming burdensome, potentially leading to more serious family problems. Long-term dependence on parents can delay financial independence, hinder asset building, and prevent the establishment of a solid foundation for an independent life. Without the experience of living independently, individuals may not fully develop social skills or problem-solving abilities, leading to deficiencies in building relationships and managing their own lives. Being perceived by society as a kidult carries the risk of social isolation, as the stigma can lead to emotional strain and a decline in self-esteem. This phenomenon is intertwined with complex factors such as economic conditions, social structures, and cultural values. It is essential for society as a whole to understand, support, and seek solutions to these issues. On the other hand, there is also an opinion that this phenomenon should not necessarily be viewed negatively. Instead, choosing a lifestyle that values family bonds and suits the individual can be seen as a reasonable and wise choice. Living with parents can reduce feelings of loneliness compared to living alone, providing a sense of mental security. Daily conversations and interactions with family can help alleviate stress. With the recent rise in living costs, sharing expenses such as rent, utilities, and food can be more cost-effective than living separately, offering significant economic benefits and helping reduce overall living expenses. By reducing living expenses through cohabitation, it becomes possible to save more money for the future. Additionally, if you have elderly parents, living together makes it easier to provide care and daily support, offering peace of mind by being able to respond quickly in case of emergencies. If the need for family care arises in the future, once you have become independent, with your own home, job, and family, it may become difficult to easily return to or visit your parents' home. There are cases where parents regret pushing their children out of the house to foster independence, only to later need care themselves and find that their children cannot or will not return. For those with young children, having parents live with them can provide valuable help with childcare, making it easier to balance work and family life. These advantages vary depending on individual circumstances and family environments, but there are many benefits to living with one's parents. It's not necessarily about being lazy or unable to leave home, but rather about being influenced by individual family circumstances. While it is true that the absolute number of unmarried people is increasing, which in turn increases the number of middle-aged and older unmarried individuals living with their parents, the proportion of those living with their parents has not changed. Even 100 years ago, unmarried individuals typically lived with their parents, and the catalyst for leaving the parental home was marriage. The increase in the absolute number of unmarried individuals living with their parents should not be seen as the cause of declining birth rates. Instead, it would be more accurate to say that the rise in middle-aged and older unmarried individuals has led to an increase in those living with their parents. Isn't it better to live with your parents and save money, rather than being fixated on making ends meet, which can lead to mental instability, and potentially to involvement in crimes, shady part-time jobs, predatory loans, dubious side gigs, or falling victim to welfare scams? Rather than struggling to live alone just for the sake of appearances or social standing, living with your parents and saving money should be more highly valued. Humans are social beings, and there is a tendency to discriminate against and mock those who disrupt social harmony, forcing them to conform to societal norms. Those who mock children's room uncles may be trying to uphold and maintain the belief that as an adult, you should live away from your family, you should get married, or you are only complete when you work for your family. If a person living with their parents is mentally independent and not considering marriage, then being a children's room uncle might not be a problem at all. In short, kidult refers to adults who are unable to fully support themselves and rely, to some extent, on a wealthy home and lenient parents for their lifestyle. However, this term does not necessarily apply to all unmarried individuals living with their parents. Those who rely on their parents for living expenses often lack sufficient income, savings, or stable employment. If they remain unmarried and eventually lose their home or parents, many will face financial collapse, signaling the end of their stability. As a term born from internet slang, kidult is often recognized as referring to men who are unable to get married. However, there are those who might not be concerned with romance or marriage, and who value their own hobbies and personal time, paying little attention to how they are perceived by others. Overprotective parents who cherish their sons or daughters may take care of household chores for them and wish for them to continue living together in the future. But if they truly care about their children, they may also worry about whether their children will be able to live independently after they pass away. We've considered various factors from both perspectives, but how do you feel about this situation, considering each family's unique circumstances? Thank you for watching.